This is the family service of Inspiration Radio. And welcome to Soni Irabor Live. Good afternoon. Welcome to today. It's a special day, yes indeed, only for me and for all of us there. But today we'll be taking on a very serious issue concerning our country, Nigeria. Because while celebrating, we should reflect as well that this is a country that belongs to all of us. Country where they have and they have not, the rich and the poor, they must all commune, they must all live together, they must all share the gladness, the tidings, the opportunities, the level playing field that God made possible for us. But as we speak, certain issues just sometimes affect our lives. They do so because certain parts of the country go through certain challenges. I think it's every part of the world that goes through all kinds of challenges. But in truth, those who are in charge of affairs make the best opportunity. They try their best to battle it. But they also seek, the cooperation of all concerned. You and I, we're all Nigerians. We believe in the oneness of Nigeria. But there are certain issues that are sometimes holding us back. There are threats everywhere. I don't think we should allow those threats to take over our lives. We all have a right to life. Something was brought to my attention just a few days ago, and we thought, okay, let's look at it. I didn't know that there have been ethnic violence in certain parts to the extent that foodstuff, is being affected, to the extent that Nigeria is so blessed that some parts of the country provide certain special, privileges, foodstuff, minerals, and things like that. So in every part of Nigeria, some part has something to give. So every part has something to offer the whole country. And if that oneness, that beautiful network is truncated or threatened, then it means that something somewhere is wrong and we have to look for a way to stop it. And so this lady called Ier Jonathan, who will soon introduce herself properly, brought my attention to this, and we said, okay, let's look at it. Listen, this is not a political battle. Please, we're not going to talk politics here. We're going to talk about Nigeria and how we can move forward, how we can sustain our foodstuff. The food basket is being threatened. Can it be reversed? Can things get better? Yes, please, those of you who might, when you contribute seriously. Today, I am thinking that instead of me celebrating, I'm thinking of Nigeria and how it should grow. May God help us. Ier Jonathan, you're welcome to the program.
And thank you for having me.
Now, what's going on? Tell me.
Right. Well, I'll just start with a little story. I used to work with the United Nations Children's Fund. And as a fundraiser, and got involved in several social issues. And I worked with them for almost 8 years. My last 4 spent in Switzerland, Geneva. And in those 4 years, my heart was always in Nigeria. And I always felt I wanted to come home and do my part, for making our country a better country. Yeah. We want to make sure, I have 5 beautiful nieces and nephews. And we all have many children we love. We want to make sure they have a country that they can grow up in to be the best and to really meet up with the challenges of competing with the rest of the world. And so I came back in November and started working fully on an NGO that I had set up some time ago called CESOR Empowerment Foundation.
Say what?
CESOR
okay.
Empowerment Foundation. It means we will repair,
okay.
In my language, Steve. And, just got involved doing some things. And then in February, we just got thrown into the deep end because we heard that there were certain attacks in Benue State. We had been hearing about these attacks in other states as well, Plateau State, Nasarawa State. But you know how it just never hits home until it hits your own home. your own city, and there were attacks in Makudi in late February. And we went down over there to have a look at what was going on, to see how we could offer help, because we heard so many people were displaced, people were running to churches for refuge, and just to see what was happening. Now, while we were there, as we were even just trying to grapple with this and trying to figure out what was causing these attacks, and there were different scenarios, different reasons people were saying. It was a Tiv Fulani crisis. It was herders trying to take over farmlands, and so many different things. And we started digging deeper. And even while we were there, we realized that when we were in Makudi, we realized that the rains fell, the first rains of the season, and that was the planting season. But guess what? Farmers had run away, so there was no planting going on.
Wow.
And as we dug deeper, we found that there have been several farmlands affected, not just in Benue. This trend has been happening for the last few years, and there have been several issues around it. And I came back to Lagos and talked to people. People were like, oh yeah, it's those usual skirmishes. We said, no, this is deeper than the skirmishes, and began to look deeper. We're realizing that issues as wide-ranging climate change is actually affecting a lot of these things and putting pressure on the people and on the lands down south. And if you trace the trajectory of the different crises that have gone on, where you see farmer herder and all of that, it's moving south. Why? Because the herders, a lot of them are actually looking for land for their cattle to graze, and so they're moving south. So that was how we now began to look at what impact would this have on our food security. We've already seen the impact it's had in Plateau. Sometimes we're not quick to make the connection. We see that carrots, beans, the traditional foodstuffs we got from Plateau State.
They used to come in seasonal forms. Yeah?
Exactly. They're much more expensive now, the apples that are grown there. So we see, you begin to see those things. We begin to see the pressure, population pressure, people moving down south even more. I had somebody, one of the gentlemen who works at my gate in the estate I live in, he ran from Taraba State because he said the violence got too much, and he's running to Lagos. So now imagine there are thousands of people making those kinds of migratory moves further south for greater security. So this is something that affects everybody. Sometimes we think, oh, we're down south, the north. Well, guess what? It's coming if we're not careful.
Okay, so in order not to alarm the people, this is not the intention. So please let me be very sure about that. It's not the intention to alarm you, but the fact that this is happening. So what should we be doing, I think? So let me ask you, what do you suggest we should be doing?
Well, I think first we need to really dig deep and find out what the issues are and educate ourselves. I think it's so easy for us as people to just get all simplistic in our mindset. It's when I was reading something written by somebody who did a study on the effects of climate change and their implications for conflict in areas. A guy I think called Saye or something. And he said something really interesting, that in a society, when social fabric begins to break down, people begin to look at themselves and make decisions based on having and having not along ethnic lines. And I think sometimes we oversimplify issues. So you might hear stuff and say, oh, it is indigenous settler, Christian Muslim. Or we might say it's Tiv Fulani or Igbo whatever, or Tiv Jukun or whatever. We put these things in those categorizations because they're simpler for us, quote unquote, to digest. We do not understand that there are several issues that are at play here. Nothing as simple as that. So very simply, I'll just run through some of the statistics, for example. Now, according to a study done by an NGO called Green Shield, Nigeria, about 35% of land that we could cultivate 50 years ago in 11 northern states are now desert.
They're now deserts?
Now desert. So these are states like Borno, Kebbi, Katsina, Yobe, Adamawa, even Jigawa. These are real facts. And this stuff was found, these were studies that were done as far back as 4 or 5 years ago. Now, a lot of that is due to... In
fact, to just buttress the point you're making, I remember when Chief Newton Jibuna was on this program, he talked about Lake Chad that was 25,000 square kilometers wide before. It was less than now, today, that's last year or so, or 2 years ago, less than 2,500 square kilometers.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of implication you're talking about.
Those are the kinds of implications. Of course, there's global warming going on as well. I think also some of the ways that we practice, we do not really pay attention to the environment. We do not build right. Things are just getting hotter, right?
Yeah.
Temperatures are just getting higher. I was just reading somewhere else that the days of rainfall in Nigeria have actually reduced. So where we used to have 120 days per annum average, 150, we're now having about 120.
So we lost about 30 days of
rainfall. So
That's
the
serious.
statistics are going, and something in that region. Now, the implications of this is that, first and foremost, those who are, for example, cattle rearers, traditionally we know that we have nomads who move around rearing cattle, and they go in search of land that is greened. Now, if a part of the country is getting desertified, then they'll come down further south. Now, this is not just a problem that's endemic to Nigeria. It's across parts of Africa. I was even reading Kenya had similar problems.
Really?
And I think the thing is for us to be really proactive. And it's not about defining it in Muslim, because some of these rearers are not Muslims. Some of the farmers are not Christians either. You know, they have animist religions and different beliefs. So it's not about defining it in those simple...
Across religious lines.
Across religious lines, or even across ethnic lines. Because guess what? The cattle is provided. We also eat beef. So we're also benefiting from that.
So everybody eats from one another.
We all eat from one. We're all connected as a people.
Absolutely.
And we need to understand this. And it's about coming to the table and finding solutions.
Don't we have scientists, soil scientists, climate scientists, and all of that, who should be advising people on what to do in things like this?
I think the studies are there. I mean, some of the studies I'm quoting or some of the statistics I'm citing, they're as far back as 2009. So I think the studies are there. I think the challenge for all of us is to really be able to figure out what are our priorities, first economically speaking, and to be proactive enough to do something about it, whether on the government side, civil society side, even we as a people, you know, everybody do their own part. I think as there's been more pressure and people move around in search of land to feed the cattle, of course, crisis will come, conflicts will come, because sometimes the cattle go and they might go and eat some produce in someone's farm, and then people retaliate and might kill the cattle, and then it brings about all kinds of conflicts and all kinds of tensions.
Yes.
And unfortunately, in the last few years, those have escalated big time, where in many communities we're hearing alarming numbers of people being killed. You know, in these crises, in these conflicts.
Yes.
I mean, for example, with some of the ones in Benue, I hear about almost 1 million. These are estimates now. We don't have the full figures yet.
1 million what?
About 1 million people are displaced. I'm sorry.
Displaced.
So people, their villages. Oh, I'm sorry. No, not 1 million people killed. But the numbers are in their hundreds of people who've been killed that we've read about. So, for example, in Katsina,
people are venting.
So people are venting,
and
I think also people are being, so first people coming from some of the research that we did when we went into Benue State, for example, we found out that, what had happened, there were all kinds of allegations. So it's a very murky situation. There were allegations that some of the political elite or some of the traditional chiefs, now we don't have proof, these need to be substantiated.
Okay.
But some of them had, accepted some money from some of these rearers to allow them graze the land. Now, it might have been that there's a misunderstanding there, because down south, for example...
the things did not work according to agreement or plan.
Those are some of the allegations. Now, these require further further investigation.
Yeah.
Now, some of these, the cattle come in, they bring the cattle in. There's a lot of pressure because there's also more cattle coming in. Apparently, there are people getting more invested in this business. Of course, because our population is growing, so there's greater demand for meat.
Yes.
And they bring them into the farmlands, and they sometimes eat people's crops. Now, of course, people get upset.
So the natural cycle of, ensuring that something good is coming out of whatever the network is beginning to be threatened.
It's absolutely.
Ouch.
Absolutely.
Ouch. Okay, now let's look at how the possibility of these reports that you have cited, did they suggest solutions and things like that? Oh,
yes, of course. I mean, there have been several solutions. I mean, there are a number of organizations that have been working on this. Even the legislation, the lawmakers have set up. I know even as far back as I think 2009 or 2011, I think it was, a bill has been proposed. It's called the National Grazing Lands Bill, where basically they're proposing to have allocated grazing routes. Other people have called Now, unfortunately, the bill has not passed yet.
Okay.
I guess because there needs to be a lot more work done. And these issues, the sad outcome of this, and fairly good or sad outcome of this is that the issues are actually bringing to the fore the urgency and the need to find solutions. So it had been proposed that certain routes would be set aside as grazing lands. Other proposals are that there should be grazing reserves set aside across the country.
Because I think they're doing that in the savannah regions of East Africa, Southeastern Africa, where some of the animals are not, you're not allowed to poach them or kill them for whatever reasons, just so they can, sustain or reduce the extinction threat of such animals like elephants and things like that.
But those are animals that are, like you said, they're about to be extinct. So the elephants, unfortunately in Nigeria, a good number of our lions, for example, are almost extinct.
Wow.
That's another discussion for another day. But our rainforests are depleted. So all these things are connected, the environment and how it's all put together.
If there's any specialists listening out there and you think you can actually add value to this discussion, and when the time comes, feel free to call us.
Yes, that would be most welcome.
We won't have any problem at all just having you. I know that situations of this nature, sometimes we take it for granted, as Ier said earlier, but when they come rearing their very horrible whatever in our faces, it's difficult to comprehend, and we may be taken unawares. We do not want to be taken unawares. So we'll be right back after a short break. And this is Asha who says, Fire on the Mountain.
There is fire on the mountain, and nobody seems to be on the run. Oh, there is fire on the mountain top, and no one is running. I wake up in the morning, tell you what I see on my TV screen. I see the blood of an innocent child, and everybody's watching. Now I'm looking out my window, and what do I see? I see an army of a soldier man marching across the street. Hey. What did it say to make you so blind to your conscience and reason? Could it be love for your country, or for the gun you use in killing? So there is fire on the mountain, and nobody seems to be on the run. Oh, there is fire on the mountain top, and no one is running. Hey, Mr. Loverman, can I get a chance to talk to you? 'Cause you are fooling with a dead man's corpse, and you don't know what you do. Oh, so little Lucy turned 60, and like the movie she's been seeing, she has a lover in her daddy. She can't tell nobody till she makes the evening news. For there is fire on the mountain, and nobody seems to be on the run. Oh, there is fire on the mountain top, and no one is running. Oh, yes. One day the river will overflow, and there'll be nowhere for us to go, and we will run, wishing we had put out the fire. Oh, for there is fire on the mountain, and there is nobody. Oh, there is fire.
This is time to look at our lives and see how best we can make things work for us. The time for apportioning blames are over. This is the time to look inward and see what can I add as value to this great country that I call my own. It doesn't matter where I come from. It doesn't matter what I do. What matters is what can I add to make this country better. Fire on the Mountain by Asha. And I have Ier Jonathan, who is our guest in the program, Soni Irabor Live today. We're discussing the state of some of our arable lands and the threats they're getting from both nature and people who are getting out of hand. What do we do? Well, what do we do?
I think it's important as people, because when we hear these kinds of things, and you read in the state papers, the other day we read 200 people killed in a village, I think it was in Kaduna, another in Katsina. You read all these things, you begin to feel really powerless. And sometimes we just switch off. Or the more famous one, which I'm a Christian, I'm a woman of faith, but the one that really drives me crazy, I must confess, is this: it is well. God will sort it out. Well, I am sorry, it is not well. And God gave us a brain and hands so that we can put our heads together and work together to fix the problems. I always like to say, I wrote an article some weeks ago where we were talking about when Moses and the Israelites were about to cross the Red Sea. Yeah. And they stood there. And Moses, as their leader, said to them, oh, just stand still and look at what the Lord will do. Interestingly, that's what a lot of our religious leaders tell us.
Interpreting it to be.
But what did God say to Moses? He said, are you still standing here crying out to me? Move. And that's it. We need to move. Yes, it is well. We know that. And God is already on our backs, whether you're a Christian or a Muslim or whatever. But we need to move because He gave us a brain, He gave us hands, and He gave us each other to be able to work together to find solutions. Some of the things that we'll do, I'll just share some of the things we've done so far, just as we've heard about this crisis, to just try and encourage people to think about these things on whatever situations we're facing, whether environment, corruption issues, whatever. One of the things we've done, we decided, okay, got a few friends together. When we first heard about the crisis in Makurdi, for example, we started calling people. I just called people I knew. I said, this is happening. What are we doing about it? Oh, and some people were like, oh, we all got theoretical and started analyzing and going, oh, the problem with this and the problem with that is this political party, is that government person, is this other government person.
It's just so easy to put the blame on these people.
And I remember one time I said to someone, look, enough. What are we going to do? Exactly. Period. And so we got together, so first organize people who have like minds and interested and focus on being solution oriented. So we started
solution oriented, that's the point.
Yes. And let's get details. Let's stop listening to rumors. Because when we heard the rumors, what we heard was, oh, this group are trying to kill that group. This one, that one. But by the time we dug deeper, it was more complex. We found out about the economic issues in there, the climate change issues, and everybody is affected. It's not just one group over another. Some of the groups that are working on, for example, Save Our Food Basket, Benue Liberation Alliance, and a few others who are interested in and pushing these solutions out there. So we started, so you first find out. The other thing was there are numbers of people displaced. We're not just talking in Benue, all over, everywhere, from Plateau to Borno, to Yobe, to Adamawa, to Katsina, to Kaduna. These are human beings like you and I. And I remember when we were talking and trying to figure out what were the solutions, sometimes we tend to focus on one aspect only, we need to make sure we sort out the security issues. And absolutely, those need to be sorted out. But also, those who have been displaced need to be taken care of. Yeah. So one needs to start thinking, okay.
So the whole essence of trying to, create solutions is all embracing, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah? It's all embracing. And I think as you organize yourselves in groups, and you get the information that you need, you can begin to put pressure where you need to put pressure. Okay. To say, okay, Mr. XYZ politician or Mr. XYZ commissioner or whoever or my senator or my State House of Assembly member, my reps, my member in the reps, what are you doing? And they can tell you what they're doing, or you can research. Some of them actually are putting forth bills and all of that, and you can put more pressure on them. But we need that critical mass of people.
Now, talking about critical mass, people, do they know what they ought to be doing? Do they have the right information to determine how they should add value, how they should play a role, how they should, do something to try to to reduce the tension?
I think a lot of people do not have that information.
So how do we then inform them? How do we then make them aware? Because, again, exposure to the wrong information leads to wrong perception.
Absolutely.
And wrong action.
And wrong actions. I think, fantastic shows like this, information through media. We're not just talking mass media, because even when we started and we were trying to figure out, people were telling me, why don't you go on TV, go on radio? I'm sorry, that costs money. We don't have that kind of money. Of course, we're not paying Inspiration FM. This is a talk. But, people say, take out adverts in TV and do radio and newspaper.
This is not about advertising.
It's not about, exactly.
It's about reality of the
situation. It's about the reality and being able to pass. It's word of mouth. Social media plays a strong role. But also, I'm
worried about that, because sometimes social media tends to just give the information it sees.
Yes.
And sometimes you wrongly interpret it.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's what I'd rather say responsible social media.
Okay.
Putting forth a problem within the context that it should be put forth in, and finding and putting forth solutions as well. Okay. So, for example, some of the things that we've been doing, for example, we've been saying, okay, you can do this. This is what you can do. You can help people in this way. If you're from this particular state, we're doing this and that to support people in this particular state, and things like that. And so it's really about helping people focus. What's the end result?
Let me ask you.
Of what we want to do.
I have to bring governments into it. State governments, local governments. What are they doing? Are they discussing these problems? Are they interacting at all? Is there intergovernmental relationship between states or between local governments?
Absolutely.
Is there anything like that going on?
In the last few days, from my sources on the ground and the conversations that we've had, there's been some collaboration, I think, beginning to start between, for example, Cross River. I have unsubstantiated reports, but I've also heard that they have now been attacked in Cross River as well.
Cross River?
So we've heard.
Okay, yes,
and that's because they share a boundary.
Mountains and all that.
Yes, and all of that. So there have been those interactions. There have been interactions, I think I understand, also with Nasarawa State.
Okay.
So there is action. There is action going on. My take on things right now is that even sometimes in the space that we exchange information in, a lot of it is very much, PDP did this, APC did this, they didn't do this one, or that party didn't do that. This is not the time for us as a people to be doing, because politics is there to serve us. We're not here to serve politics. But unfortunately, in many situations, we have allowed these political tensions to divide us as a people.
And so actually distract us from the serious situation
the real
on ground.
Issues.
Yes.
And I think, and I've heard several people now make that call, I think it's time for us to come together. Forget PDP, forget APC. Now we need to come together and find an approach that will help us. Because if at the end of the day, some of these states are decimated, there will be no 2015.
God forbid.
Because you don't have any voters, right? People to vote for you. So whether you're whatever party, it is important. And I think this is a call for all to put hands on the table.
It's interesting.
And put aside these interests and save lives.
Only a few weeks ago, the chairman of INEC was here.
Yes.
And this issue came up, security and some of the states that are badly affected.
Yes.
And he said he prayed that these whole problems would have been resolved long before election time in 2015. I did a mental calculation in my head. Long before in phrases would then mean how long from now? Elections will be sometime in February?
Yep, February 14th, I think it is.
February 2015.
Yes.
So we're less than a year.
We're less than a year.
So if there must be solutions, it must start now.
They must start now. And I think, it's good in the last few days and weeks, we've heard these issues being brought up more and more in the House, in both houses, the lower house and in the Senate, where some of the senators have called for the government to take a real deep look at these issues and really deal with, come up with the right solutions. So, for example, the setting up the reserves, the ranching reserves. This is not something that is a problem across the world. Americans have found their ways to solve it. They have ranches and they keep their cattle there, for example, so that everybody can be safe. We can get the meat that we want. At the same time, we can get the plants that we want, the food that we need. Yeah. Because if all these things are decimated, for example, with the crisis in Benue, our yam supply is affected, whether we like it or not. So for those of us that like pounded yam, mangoes, oranges, even the fish. We're even hearing now
carrots and all that?
Yes, we're even hearing now that there are some poisons that have gone into some of these waters. Now, we don't know how true that is. And there are all kinds of allegations, about sophisticated weapons being used. Now, questions also arise that the government need to tackle really quickly.
Yeah.
Who are funding these people? Where are people? Because I do not imagine that a herdsman who carries his cat, we see them all around town.
Will anybody in his right senses want to just start destroying people just for the sake of it? Why?
That your guess is as good as mine. But the thing is, if people are coming into communities with sophisticated weapons, who are these people? Now, some of the intelligence we also got while we were on the ground was that some of these people were arrested. And a good percentage of them were not even Nigerians. Reportedly, for example, 12 people were arrested in one of the local governments. 11 of them were not Nigerians.
Where did they come from?
They were mercenaries. Some Niger, Chad, whatever. So again, see, it's all interrelated. There are issues around borders as well. These are things that have also been raised in the House. So this is not secret information.
Yeah.
So these are things that we need to tackle even
our prayer, therefore, as we prepare to take a short break now, is to ensure that as Nigerians, if there are suspicions, go to the security agencies, know exactly what to do, talk to them, let them know. If you have the facts and the figures, make them available to them.
Yeah.
I know every leader in this country is very interested in the oneness of this country and in the safety and security of this country. So I don't think that we will allow anything to go wrong. God forbid. As we are looking at Inspiration Radio, family radio station, today is a special edition, Soni Irabor Live, focusing on the food basket and the way things are going. Any threat to food? No, I pray not. If there are, please, Lord, let us not encounter it.
Amen.
We just pray to God that things begin to happen in a way that will help us out. It's your call, brothers and sisters. Let's make Nigeria belong to us. Let's make it one. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, bring down the volume.
I'm running away from the place completely. I called to wish you a happy birthday.
Thank you so
That's
much.
just the reason why I called.
God bless you.
Your program has been inspiring quite a lot. I try as much as possible to listen to you every Sunday.
Thank you.
And I know you very much. You've seen me before, but you cannot place it. When your daughter was in Green Spring.
Oh, wow.
I happen to be
one of the teachers, eh? Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you.
So many more years ahead of you.
Thank you.
And thank you so much. All of you there are just very, very inspiring. I love your program.
You so much.
I'm happy I've introduced your station to so many, and it's become a household.
Oh, yes, please keep doing that, or keep introducing our programs to so many stations, to so many people. Thank you so much. God bless you.
It's a household, morning to night. Sometimes I leave the radio till I sleep off.
Yeah, thank you so much. God bless you.
Bless you. Enjoy your day.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello.
Soni.
Yes, how are you?
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I'm going to move away from birthday wishes to face the seriousness of what we're discussing.
You can't escape from it, Soni.
I know.
It's only terrible you are discussing such a serious issue on your birthday.
Well, it couldn't be changed because it's been planned.
People don't know the strategic connectivity between the environment holistically. Most of our politicians will say small teacher, just be speaking English here. Do they know how much they affect us by what they say, the way they live? These things that the lady there is propounding, how many of them, or some of our politicians from certain parts of this country, who live such, should I say, opulent, sometimes very rude, let me say lives, where there's abject poverty on the next street with them. Soni, have a good birthday. Let's pray for Nigeria. That's what I can say.
God bless you. Thank you. Hello.
Yeah, Chief Soni, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Yeah, my brother, please, you have to bear with us. We need to wish you happy birthday.
Yes, just one line and then go to the point. No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, I wish you long life and prosperity, good health.
God bless you.
All the good things of life.
Thank you.
Yeah, madam, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much. I'm one of those who have been calling for support, whatever we can do to assist this president to move this country forward. Since you've been explaining all this stuff, I never hear you blame the president. Rather, you are preferring solution, right?
Yes.
You mentioned the political parties. But one thing I want to tell you, I wish I have the power, is to remove the wickedness in human beings. Because these are people doing this. Human beings. These are people I call people with lion heart. I wish I had that power to remove that wickedness from them. God will see us through. My sister, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless you,
Thank
Chris.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello, Uncle Robert. Good afternoon.
How are you? Good afternoon.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Hello, sir. I
Thank
love
you.
your program, sir.
Thank you very much.
I want to comment for this topic this afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Sorry to say, this is both out the issue of leadership. If we say our leadership has failed, we will say we are lying. Issue of this border issue. This we are talking about is the end of the border issue. This thing we are talking about, we have security people who will pay money for our taxpayers. If them have done their work properly, we will not be having this problem. The truth of the matter, my dear brother, what you can say this country without talking about that leaders that fail us. The issue of this Fulani issue having 40 billion, they did not start it today. They started gradually. And we are aware of that. Now, this thing has led, and we are talking about happy. The truth of the matter is that our parents have failed us. And there's not anybody can take this is Nigerians. I keep saying it, they have failed us. They should do the right thing and leave the rest to us to do. Are you getting me now? The issue of this, okay, is this ordinary made person that is going to go and fight this people? If you really want to see, even when you get this for the people, they hold you for the evidence. So the problem we still be having that our leaders, because it is not concerned them. This issue, this Bono started for issue, this Boko issue. They started gradually with political politics. Now you are going to get now when they were confusing. So my dear sister, I pray that God will help you to put it to but truth of all, because God helping me have this little financially.
Okay.
If you are saying that Nigeria should try and do what they can do for a country, what is not having financially? So if our leaders don't want this to do as a leader to make things, this issue, this equality, it's a responsibility. It's not we as the citizens.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, but thank you for your
Thank you.
program. Happy birthday, I'm all live.
God bless you. Thank you.
I regard to my good sister in the studio.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, how are you?
Good afternoon, Uncle Soni.
Good afternoon.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
This is Okechukwu calling from mainland.
Oh, hi, Okechukwu.
Yeah. The problem with us in this country is that we like complaining. Everything we keep complaining as if complaining will solve our problem. We the youth, we keep living like Generation X, as if we have no direction. We keep complaining about every president, every governor, complaining about parties.
Yes.
Instead of us to come together and find a way to solve the solution of this, to find a solution to the problem of this nation.
Okay.
We like comparing our nation, our country to America, to UK. If you check the age between America and Nigeria, you will know that we have a long way to go. We can't just rise like America under one day. It takes time. We have to come together, put hands together, and find solutions.
Yeah.
All these problems you see, most of these big nations you see, they've gone through this process.
Yeah.
And they solved the problem themselves.
Can you suggest something for us?
That is what I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You are
Thank you
doing
so
a great job.
God bless you, sir.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, how are you?
Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon.
I called sometimes. Hello?
Yeah, we're there.
Yeah, a month ago, Timothy,
Okay.
if you remember, when you had the U.S. Consulate General,
Yes, of
and I
course.
spoke about security.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, that was before they attacked children.
Yeah.
You understand? For me, if you would remember two movies, sometime in April and Hotel Rwanda, there was a narration that says it's not the voice of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. I think they were talking about the French or whatever. We have friends internationally who can assist, but are watching for, I will not say their selfish interest. Number one, because who manufactures these weapons will look for a market for it, legally or illegally. Do you understand? So let's when we see these weapons, identify who the manufacturers are and publish it on international news. Do you understand? And trace who acquired the license.
To purchase those weapons and use them.
Illegally brought into our country, track it down to the last legal location. Or why it wasn't reported stolen, things like that. You understand? Two, our internal security. Let me work with a hypothesis. I am trained to detonate bombs. but but I have the knowledge, but I'm scared that if I get killed in the process, my family will be taken care of. So I can detonate it, but I choose not to. I think it was in the Punch newspapers that they said that soldiers should not sabotage democracy, but they are not being taken care of. Interview these soldiers. So when your antibodies are not strong enough to fight diseases, where are you? Do you understand? Is it until we enter anarchy or a crisis that we now begin to look for aid?
I'm always quick to say, God forbid.
We are gradually getting there, and we need to read the interpretations on the wall.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you. Yes, happy birthday to me. I accept that. Hello. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Fine. Madam, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I want to comment so much on what you are saying. Actually, I just came back from Benue State recently, about 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
You see, our peoples are now living in fear. They can no longer go to their farm because of the Fulani herdsmen. And if this continues, there will be a serious, food crisis in this land. Yeah. And I think that the government has to do something about it very urgently. You see, when you go to the farm, you see these Fulani herdsmen going around.
Hello. Hello.
AK-47. You see, so they are moving around with heavy weapons, training with their cow. This is very, very unfortunate in this country. Please, let the government do something before this thing go out of hand.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to take a short break, and this is when I will ask that those of you who are trying to be part of the program and haven't been able to, forgive us. You know, it's a short program. 1 hour is a long time, but we call it a short program. It's not. We'll just take a short break, and this time listen to the lyrics again. Bette Midler. I've been playing this song for so long. It just tells us a lot of things that sometimes we take for granted. But this is Bette Midler. Listen to it.
From a distance, the world looks blue and green, and the snow-capped mountains white. From a distance, the ocean meets the stream, and the eagle takes to flight. From a distance, there is harmony, and it echoes through the land. It's the voice of hope, it's the voice of peace, it's the voice of every man. From a distance, we all have enough, and no one is in need. And there are no guns, no bombs, and no disease, no hungry mouths to feed. From a distance, we are instruments marching in a common land, playing songs of hope,
We must play songs of hope,
playing songs of peace.
songs of peace.
They're the songs of every man.
Come on now.
God is watching us. God is watching us. God is watching us from a distance.
Ier Jonathan. Somebody just sent you a message saying, I want to thank Ier Jonathan for her efforts. The Fulani issue requires a holistic approach. The Fulani and the Tiv are historically known to be friends. What has gone wrong in recent years? That's a big question. So you want to take it with all the phone calls you had?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take it from there. I think they've been friends. In fact, I was hearing about, in fact, if you come to Tiv land, there's some Tiv people that have Fulani names and Fulani people who have Tiv names, because a lot of them have we've coexisted for years. There's some who have come in and settled in the villages, and very peaceful. We've had peaceful coexistence for years. And to be honest, it has been pointed out to me several times that the new breed, these attacks, they're not the traditional Fulani. In fact, one of the communities we went to, which was attacked, when we asked them, they said, oh, those people didn't look like Fulani. In fact, the man said in TV, we have a way, we said, so these Fulani people, he said, no, ka Fulani ga. That means, no, they were not Fulani. They were tall, they were black, they were not Fulani, they had heavy. So again, the issues, like we said, they're complex. Now, I will go, this is a heavy subject. And as we've talked, I think it's beginning to sink in the seriousness of our situation. We need to understand that this is not a problem limited to Benue State or to Plateau or Nasarawa. You know, we've heard there are a few skirmishes in some of the other southwestern states as well. So we need to think about these implications for our security, for you and for me, for our security. Having said that, we do have incredible assets and we have a hope. Just as Betty Midler sang in this song, our hope is first God, as we know, we're all people of faith, or most of us are people of faith. But also, our hope is each other. Yeah. I'm my hope, you're your hope. I will explain what I mean. A lot of us are working in very serious positions. Some of us are in intelligence, some of us are in the armed forces, some of us are in the police, some of us are in media, some of us are in different banks or whatever area we're involved in, we can have some influence there. We can find out what is going on. However it relates to you, if you have media, do the research. Let's find out what is going on. And then we all, if you don't know who your senator is, please find out. And if you need to band together with your friends, send him a letter. We are happy to take, you can even contact us. Uncle Soni will give you our email address if you need it. We are happy to have you send those letters, and we'll push them to send it for you or to your reps member. It is important. You can actually
give the email address now.
You can send an attachment, info at sesorafrica.org. sesorafrica.org. Send us those letters. If you like, send it as an attachment, as an email. We will deliver it for you. Now, let us not stop there. There are people, we have all lost loved ones. We've lost people I've lost loved ones in the bombings in the UN house. They were colleagues, people that were good friends of mine. We've lost loved ones in the armed forces and the police. I will give them respect and their proper props, because they've been lost and we haven't quite seen. Some of them have remained nameless and faceless. If you've lost those loved ones, let's begin to remember them and put out their names and faces there. We've lost children. Those in Yobe, those in Borno, we're still not even sure what has happened to some of those children that we're missing. Let us not allow these people to be nameless. Let's not forget them, because these people have died for our country, whether we like it or not. So we also have a certain power to bring to this, and we all know people who have done that. Let us remember them. We can choose a day even and say we'll put it out on Facebook, those we know we have lost and loved ones, so those are some of the things that we can push.
And the one thing I just look at about this whole thing is that no matter how afraid or indifferent you want to be, may it not happen to you.
Yeah.
Because that is where they say it gets too close to home and you have to fight back, or you don't know what to do and things like that.
And I think we need to support our government. Now, when I say support our government, people, when you say support our government, they will say, oh, they've given you money. I'm not talking about that. No. This is a democracy. Now, in government, there are two people. They're the government, they're the governors. When I say governors, i.e. the president, everybody
those who govern,
and then there are the governed.
Those that are governed. Yes.
Now, we cannot leave everything to the government, to the governors.
Yes.
Now, we, the governed, we need to step up and encourage our governors to do what they ought to be doing. Yes. Where we see they fail in their duty, and where we see they're doing well, we encourage and ask them to do more of this. Now, there's some people, they complain, oh, my governor is never in the state. He's always like this. So send him a note.
Of course.
We all, and some of us
Say,
in our
Governor,
state,
where are
we
you?
know,
Why are you
some of
always
us,
not
we
in your
know
state?
the names of the attorney generals. We know the names of the commissioners. Bombard them with text messages. Let us start taking responsibility for our lives.
Yes.
Because we're all in this together. Even if you are the governor or the whatever, unfortunately, my state governor was attacked a few weeks ago, shot, in fact, in the midst of all of these things. So nobody is exempt. We're all affected. So everybody cares about security and about our own food security. If there's no food, whatever, it will affect everybody. So it is important that we organize and we take citizen action. And believe me, when you have a few friends, even if it's 4 of you, trying to figure out, okay, how can we get across messages? Let's do that. I'll lastly say that kind of engagement, when you're reaching out to governors, I always say this thing: insulting your chairman, local government chairman, your governor will not get your road fixed. So let's make it constructive. There's no point going to write to the person and say you're an idiot, you stole all the money in the whatever, God punish you. It's not going to fix it. That's not the issue at hand. The issue is to say, sir, this, or madam, this is what you're doing well. And this is what
I think I agree with what you're saying.
Yes.
I think it was Wana on one of her shows here, was it the road safety tapes or traffic show? I don't know which one. Where they talked complained about some part of the road that was not well fixed in parts of Lagos. In truth, that road was fixed. The person called back to say, well, I don't know how you did it, but the road has been fixed.
Fantastic.
And they found out that they heard it on radio. They heard it on our show.
Yes.
So I say, Wana, kudos to you. Some of these things we've joked with, but truly,
Yes.
Nigeria belongs to all of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that is the role of, Kennedy was quite right when he said, ask not what you think you can do, what the country for your government can do for you. It's what you can do for your country. I think that's what it is.
Sorry, can I just say a final word for people who are really keen on doing something? When I was moving back to Nigeria, people would ask me, are you not afraid? We hear all these horrible stories and blah, blah, blah. You go, don't go and be too noisy. They will kill you. They will do this. They will do that. Or some people say, that's your country, Nigeria. Even some Nigerians will tell you, Nigeria is not a country worth dying for. And I realize that some people might be afraid because, they don't want to stick their necks out, to fight for whatever it is. But I've also realized that, you see, Martin Luther King, I think, said, injustice anywhere is a threat to all of us. Because if you leave it in America, if there is injustice in America, it will come and meet you eventually.
Okay.
Because we're all interconnected. So
somebody is sending a tweet here to at Irabor, at Ier Jonathan, at IFM 923. Said the strategic location of Benue and its role in the Nigerian economy cannot just be overlooked.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't just gloss over it, he says. What do you say about that?
I would say then that we should all reach out to our senators and to our House of Reps members. I think Tambuwal has also been making comments. The senators from Benue, some of the other senators from around the world, around the country have been also making statements on the floor. Let us keep the pressure on and let us find solutions. There are solutions. People have preferred solutions. Let's find grazing lands. Let's find reserve. Let's call the rearers, the cattle rearers. Let's all come to the table. Let us talk. And let us find a solution. But we need to put pressure.
Frankly speaking, this is where I say that nobody in Nigeria is unimportant.
No.
And we must also accept the fact that no matter whether you're riding the best of cars and you think the beggar in the street is inconsequential, don't be deceived. Every single human being in this country is as equally as important as the next richest person.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
They used to tell us in my training school in broadcasting, say, listen, your listener, your average listener is the president in his Oval Office, using the American description, and the beggar in the street.
Yeah.
They all have access to you.
Yes.
So you're talking to everybody. There's no one person more important than the other. And so because of that, we talk to the people. That's why we're a family station. That's why we know who we are.
Yeah.
We believe solutions come from when we address it directly.
Exactly.
Here we're about to leave.
Thank you.
But you don't thank me yet too. What is the message now? We've discussed issues, serious issues. What's the message?
The message is take action.
What kind of action?
Contact people you know in places of influence. If you know senators, contact them and ask them to find solutions to this thing. And if you have ideas, put them forward. And God bless you all. Can I send a shout out to some people?
Yes, please. Go
I'd
ahead.
like to send a shout out to my volunteers who are at Say So today. They're taking in some materials for people who have been displaced.
And I hope you're listening to this program. Say so.
So I'd like to say yes. To say
Is that
so.
a meaning in some Tiv language?
Yes, it means we will repair and
we will
fix
repair.
things.
Oh, how beautiful!
Yes, so it's
how
all about
beautiful.
being proactive.
But you don't speak Fulani.
No, but I speak the language of love, which is also extended to Fulani. But I'd like to say thank you to Ada, to Isioma, to Nike, to Onyi, and to Tony, who are volunteering today and helping to collect things for people who are displaced.
And I'd like to
and I'd like to thank Save Our Food Basket, the Benue Liberation Alliance as well, because we've been working together on this. And I'd like to thank all of you as well.
Well, Inspiration FM would like to thank all of you out there for making us who we are. We just can't believe the love we get from all of you. From the advertisers, of course, we need them. Sometimes they say, yeah, we need you too, but we need them. We need them more than they need us. The advertisers, the listener is the ultimate. All of you just make us brilliantly proud of who we are. We've never regretted, doing things the way we reach you and you tell us we're doing a good job. There's nothing so sweet as that song. You're doing a good job. Thank you for making us who we are. And yes, for my birthday, I want to thank God. I want to thank all of you for making me 1 year older today. The future is ahead, though, so we'll look forward. But please, if you see someone without a smile, give him one of yours. The world is there for us to truly, truly enjoy. Don't believe what they tell you. You have to do the right thing at all times.
Yeah.
Obey the rule of law. And please, share that love with your neighbor.